Welcome to the Family Constellation virtual podcast. I'm your host Maia, and with every episode I take you deep down into family systems in search for ancestral healing. I have close to 20 years of experience in this field, working for international clients, workshop participants and trainees as a systemic coach and facilitator with a bachelor degree in family constellations in the method of Bert Hellinger. Here we are exploring hidden dynamics and family secrets, finding what heals the family wound and what brings happiness and freedom to our lives with case studies, insights and interviews around family constellation and related soul healing modalities.
Today we have a conversation with Maia, the founder of Family Constellation Virtual. Welcome, Maia.
Hello, Julie. It's so lovely to be with you in this space today and have a dialogue about my beloved teacher, Bert Hellinger.
I'm so looking forward to this conversation because it's been 100 years since Bert was born. So we're celebrating the life and work of Bert, the discoverer of the deep soul healing method of family constellations. So Maia, just to get started, can you give us a little bit of an overview of yourself and how you became the founder of Family Constellation Virtual?
Yes, Julie, love to. I was originally a lawyer in Germany and had a career there specialized in franchise law and was mainly advising international clients in this area. And then somehow first of all, I wanted to have a family, and that was not aligned with my demanding job. So I pulled out of that a little bit, looked after my son, and that's another story that I might share here, is that he's also, like many others, a so-called family constellation child, because I had some infertility issues. And that actually brought me to family constellation because I was looking for help with that. So this is how it all started, actually. Thinking about it was 5 years before that, when I formed the wish for a child. And me and my husband, we tried to conceive for literally 5 years, and without any medical reason, it never happened. A friend of mine said to me, "Why don't you go to a workshop with me and look at this issue with my teacher in the family constellation?" And I thought, oh, well, why not? I mean, I try everything. And by that time, actually, I read most of Bert Hellinger's books already. Wow. So I loved him as an author. I loved his teaching. I loved the way he looked at things and the depth and the unique approach he has to relationships and the soul journey and movements. Fantastic, but I just didn't pick up that it was a practical approach. I thought it's a philosophy. However, so my friend told me, "Oh, I'm actually studying it, and there's actually a workshop that you can go through and look at it." And so I did with my husband then, and we had a lovely weekend full of surprises and emotional release. And half a year later, I was pregnant. With my now very much grown-up son. And I was so fascinated how this magic could possibly work, that I inquired into a training. And then because I was focusing on being a mother and didn't want to pursue further my demanding lawyer's career, I had to make a decision anyhow. And I think, okay, I focus on being a mother now and starting to study a family constellation. And luckily and fortunately, I was able to study directly with Bert and Sophie Hellinger via the Hellinger School. They offered a uni study together with the University Jean Monnet in Brussels. Um, and it took me, all in all, I counted all together 4 years that I spent there, and countless weekend workshops with Bert and Sophie Hellinger. I followed them all over Europe, um, to watch hundreds of facilitations. And that was actually the study. We had to read his books, 50 plus
Yeah,
books. Yeah.
yeah, because he's written over 110 or something now.
Well, I only know
Yeah,
50 plus. So that was the last time I counted. But yeah, if it is 100,
yeah.
it's 100, possible. Um, so
Incredible.
so you had to read a lot of his books and go to a lot of his workshops, and then we had a few practice workshops, and which was provided by his wife Sophie Hellinger as a trainer, and that was it. That was you, and then you had to write your 70 plus pages essay about family constellation, about a specific topic, and then you had a rigorosum, a examen, an oral examen, with a panel of 7 or so, and
Oh,
that's then how you got your bachelor degree, um, and how you graduated. I
wow.
was I was fortunate to be the first one, like in the group of the first ones who were able to receive this graduation. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
that was my path, and I loved to spend the time. I also had some other interesting project with him and his wife, that we connected over and met a lot, and talked about and created, and it was just a wonderful time. He is such an amazing, well, he was such an amazing human being. He was always smiling outside of the constellation, not
Yeah.
during the constellation, but in real life, so to speak. He was always smiling. He was very quiet. He was very observant. He was always smiling. He seems to be always happy. And the few remarks he had about what was going on was very humorous and to the point. And he was just, you know, somebody you really wanted to be with. He had so much wisdom and grace, and mm, zero ego, really
Yeah.
zero ego. It was amazing. It's such a um, grounded grounded in love, personality that is one of a kind, really. And I think, of course, that radiates throughout his work, for sure.
Yeah. Well, he's left such a legacy, hasn't he? Continuing to this day, and I can imagine for a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, he was a psychotherapist. He was born in Lehmann. Is it Lehmann,
Lyman,
Germany?
yeah.
Yeah, Lehmann, Germany. And he was best known for his work in family constellations and systemic constellations, which focused on exploring family constellations work. He believed it was a map to the inner world of an individual. I love that.
It is
Like a
wonderful. Never
map.
heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah. I read that in one of his other interviews. So I just really love that. A map to the inner world of an individual. So, what an incredible experience being one of his first students. And what an amazing course. It sounds like it was a lot more than a bachelor's degree. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was one of his first graduate students.
Graduate,
Of
sorry.
course,
Yes.
yeah. Of course, he had many other before that he was teaching through
Yeah.
observation, who were becoming facilitators in their own right.
You said he was always full of joy and humility, so lacking ego. And what else can you tell us about Bert?
So because he was such a humble human being, he always thought he has nothing to teach. He wanted us to observe him working, where he is connected to the morphogenetic field. And that was his teaching. He didn't feel like he had the words to convey what was going on, because when he was working, he was connected with the morphogenetic field. So he didn't feel that it was him doing something.
Wow. And so, for those who don't know, can you give us a brief description of what the morphogenetic field is?
Absolutely, yeah, I love to. It's best explained when you think of a computer cloud. The computer cloud also contains of information. First of all, you can't see them, yeah, and they don't seem to exist in any kind of space or time. They are storing information that are once uploaded by a user, and they can be accessed anytime for anybody who has a password. That is the same with the morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field is like a cloud service for a specific family system, and every family member is a user and has a password for it. So every information that is unresolved, and these are traumatic experiences in the family system, is uploaded to this cloud, to the morphogenetic field. And it is residing there through time and space, never changing until somebody with a passport accesses the morphogenetic field with the intention to find this information, download it, if you will, in a family constellation, rewrite it like new data written in a document, and then upload it again to this cloud service, the morphogenetic field, to override the former information with the new information. The former information was trauma, distress, and the new information is flow of love, reconciliation. And that is the healing effect of family constellation for the whole family system and all its members, aka users, if you will.
Mm. What a great way to put it. And so that was your experience, I guess, when you were talking about your fertility issues. So you took that to a constellation and, yeah,
Exactly.
so overwrote the data, so to speak, and uploaded it. And then 6 months later, you're pregnant with your son.
Exactly.
Wow.
I didn't understand anything about this, of course, by that time. And if I'm thinking now back, I don't know what was it, 22 years or more than 22 years when it was this my first family constellation. I I felt something, of course, but I didn't it wasn't logical or expected or anything like this. And it has this effect, and that's the magic. That's why I found I need to study it, because I really wanted to know how this is even possible. There, I had no logical explanation, and I'm an academic. I like to have explanations, particular scientific explanations for what is happening. And so I was in search of these explanations, and I did find them.
And so Bert, before he discovered family constellations, he was, well, among other things, a priest,
Yeah.
a missionary with the Zulu tribe, a soldier in the German Nazi war, an incredible life by the sounds. What can you tell us about some of that you're aware of?
Yes, I was also blown away when I met with him about his abundance past life, not past life, his abundance experience with other walks of life. And as you can see, he was a seeker for helping others. That was what set him out to become a priest. That was what set him out to go to Africa as a missionary to help at that time. I mean, when was it? In the 40s, 50s,
50s, yeah.
In the 50s, to go there and help them. And the interesting twist is he then in the end found he couldn't help with being a member of the Catholic Church, too restricted in a set of rules, and that's why he left the church. He wanted really to help the human beings on a more profound level. And that's, I think, why he became a psychotherapist.
Yes, because I saw that he also studied many of the different therapies, Gestalt and
Yes.
primal therapy, um, neurolinguistics programming,
Yep.
Erickson hypnotherapy.
Yes.
So he was,
Family,
yeah,
family,
sorry.
family sculpturing.
Yes, okay, interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
so
the Festhalte therapy with Irina Prevkov. Yeah.
mm,
Oh, he studied a lot, right? He was such a he always wanted to go to the root of the he was a
mm,
really deep seeker all his
mm,
life, and he was talking occasionally about his um, experience as a psychotherapist and the former work that he did. Uh,
mm,
he what came what came through was that all this search and all this study and this accumulation of knowledge of all these non-mainstream therapies led him to believe that the answer he's seeking for is not there. So
interesting.
it's so
Yeah.
interesting. It's it's kind of finding the right path through excluding the wrong paths, right? So, and I can totally connect with that. I think my life was pretty much the same in different ways. That I also like to inquire deeply into something that triggers me, and I then find out, no, it's not that. That was the same with being a lawyer. I wanted to help people to find, their rights, their liberation, and then I thought, you're just a part of the system and you serve a purpose, but the help is not very profound on a profound level. And that's when I had my own experience with Family Constellation and the profound healing that it has offered in my life and changed my life completely. Um, that something. No, that's it. Now I know that is it. Hmm.
Yeah, I once saw described on another interview with him that, like when he was leaving the church, that um, he was not bound by the church, so to speak. He was so independent of that, but it was more of an inner movement. Like he hadn't left God in terms of the principles, but he had discovered this inner movement that had moved away, as you say, from the rules of that what's the word, structure or concept. So his work with the Zulu tribe, did I found that fascinating. Did a lot of family constellation um, what's theories or the orders of love that he talks about in family constellations. Did that come out of any of that work that you know of, or?
Yeah, I believe so, that he has drawn out of his observation, and that was his skill, that was his path.
Mm,
He could observe like no other, right?
mm,
And he has observed the tribes, the Zulu tribes, how they live, their social bounds, how they treat their ancestors, and that must have that must have um, set the foundations to look for the orders of love and what works in a family and what doesn't, and what is healing for family and what is traumatizing the family. I believe that he has already started to observe that when he was looking at indigenous um, behavior,
mm,
society behavior, and how they heal um, these traumatic and emotional wounds with the help of their ancestors.
mm. Interesting. I also found something that was very interesting when he was a soldier or conscripted as a soldier, that he actually escaped in the war and he was independently on his own for about 18 months and went back to a missionary where he attended boarding school. And that was how he first became part of the order or ordained as a priest. Ah. He was captured by American soldiers and he escaped, yeah. And it was the missionary that he went to as a school. He was at a boarding school at this missionary, so he went back to the same missionary. And something interesting, he said he always knew from 5 years of age that he wanted to be a priest. It was like a
Wow.
calling. Isn't that
Wow.
incredible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, what an amazing life. And so today, family constellations is very well known worldwide and used in many areas, such as the court systems in Brazil and South America, in businesses, in education, and in therapy. Um, can you did you experience, I guess, when working with him, that expansion across the world and seeing family constellations grown? Has that been a part of your life and seeing that expanded as well?
Absolutely. So when I joined, it was already widely known in Germany for sure. And he had done a lot of groundwork in South America. For some reason, that has triggered the national souls, I would say, and they have adopted. They loved him and his wife coming over, and they had huge workshops there, like 500 people easily in a hall. Gathering for several days, doing family constellation under Bert and Sophie Hellinger's facilitation. And so that was already there when I joined this movement, if you will. And from there, it has expanded further. I know it has expanded to Easter Europe, to Russia. Um, it has spread out to America, of course, maybe even earlier than that. After South America, for sure, also to North America. It has probably not quite reached Oceania by then, and maybe not Asia a lot. But that has now, since the last 2 decades, I feel catched up a little bit with it. Not enough as I think, but things are sometimes developing slowly but surely in the right direction. And what counts in the end is every family soul who is healing in whatever way, shape, or form they do that, through family constellation, because that is the method to release intergenerational trauma. I have not yet seen another that is compatible, uh, even remotely compatible with this uh, methodology that Bert Hellinger has discovered. Um, Family constellation, or in German is called Familienaufstellung. And funnily, it has not to do much with the family. You would think so, like you would think of like mother, father, child. Of course, it has to do with it, but it's not only has to do with it. Family systems are covering a lot more relationships than just these nuclei family, if you will. And the word family constellation is in this regards misleading. It sounds like a family therapy where, you know, parents come to discuss their relationship issues or with their children or something. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. We are only thinking about intergenerational trauma. We are thinking about the unseen, the trauma that is not revealed, that you don't know, has nothing to do with your daily drama. Your daily drama might be a result of it, but we are not trying to fix the issue, um, uh, the drama. We want to go back to the source of this behavior, which lies somewhere deep hidden in some generation in the family system. And that is the work and the gift that Bert Hellinger has gifted us, and that he left the world to heal with, if you will. Um, with Family Constellation.
And do you have any real memorable moments with Bert or constellations that you've seen where it's been it's stayed with you? Like,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
I mean, I have been during the 4 years, it's a countless hours sitting in the audience watching him facilitating, and I was one after the other was absolutely mind blowing. Um, I remember just to give you the extreme. He had a constellation where he said nothing, nothing. So the client, as always, sits to the right side. That's always a must. And the client came, and Bert was sitting with the client, and he often sit with the client silently for quite a while, connecting with the morphogenetic field. And then he normally would come up with something. He would either say, you know, the deep feeling that he's picking up on the client, or he would ask a question, or he would say right away, okay, you pick your great grandfather here to represent, or something like that. Yeah. In this case, I remember the client was sitting there very nervous, and it was silence for a long, long period of time. And from the nervousness of the client, it went into some emotions that went through him, and tears were coming, and Bert was still sitting there, not doing, he would never hold a hand or anything like this. He was just sitting to the left side of the client with a little bit of a distance, eyes closed or looking down, fully present. And this client went through all these emotions. Bert wouldn't wink an eye. And then there was a sigh of relief in the client all of a sudden. I don't know how long it was. Let's call it 5 minutes, or I don't remember. Maybe 10. And there was a sigh of relief in the client. And then Bert sat up and said, we leave it here. And the client went back into, the circle, and he was so released. And it was beautiful to see, because that was a magic that the family constellation was entirely internalized in the client through Bert Hellinger's presence. And and of course, for the audience, there is nothing in there. There is nothing to understand. There's nothing to, no representative asked to join. And so it is not to hold the space. This is, it demands such a strong, I don't know, such a strong personality, such a strong
like a
groundedness.
stability, yes,
Yeah.
incredible.
And yeah, and he could do that.
And I can imagine too that the mind of the client is not getting in the way too, which it can do in a lot of,
Yeah, because he
therapies,
wasn't
I
allowed
guess.
to say anything. I mean, it never
Yes.
came to the point that the client said anything.
Mm.
It wasn't needed. And then on the other hand, I remember a constellation very vividly, actually, which was also silent, but a lot of people were involved. So Bert had a client in a workshop. He did only workshops. There were only multiple day workshops mainly, and many, many, many people there. The smallest group I ever was part of was probably 20 people, but the average groups was in the hundreds that he had. And so there was a client with an issue. I don't remember the issue anymore. It was not the point. And then he said something, okay, we do something else today or now or something. And then he asked 20 people to get up from the audience as representatives. And he said, you don't say anything. You just let yourself be guided to move slowly, like we do as a representative, slowly. Follow the movement. Don't say a word. Yeah. And that's how it went. So we were witnessing this movement of the 20 people. Nobody knew who they were. They didn't know who they were. The client didn't know who they were, nor did Bert Hellinger. But he was also not saying a word, by the way. The Bert was there observing it, and the movements happened, and some of the representatives were in tears, some down, some laid down, other moved towards each other, they hugged each other. There was so much movement going on. And but slowly, very like slow motion, and nobody said a thing. Not Bert either, not Bert either. And this was over an hour, very unusual for him. I would say an hour and a half or something like that, or close to 2 hours. Very demanding again for the audience to stay awake and watch it and be part of it and be engaged through observation, through presence. And at the end of this time period, whatever long it was, very long, unusual long, he stood up from his chair and said to the client, "We leave it here." That was it. And that was at a point where every one of the 20 people who were representing each one, a family member of the client's family system, found a place where they, through expression of their body language, to gestures, they went through the emotional release, and they felt at the right place. So every one of the 20 people has released any kind of stress. And then that is the moment when he said, that is done. No, this family constellation is done.
And I'm curious, there was no discussion about what the
No,
issue was?
no,
Nothing.
nothing.
Wow.
And he was like this. And that was, I admire that, especially after 20 years, almost 20 years of facilitating myself. I admire how strict he was. Yeah. He never felt, he had really no ego present, and he never served any ego. He never felt the need. He was there for the client. He was not even there for the client. He was there for the client's family system. And when he got the information that the client's family system has released the intergenerational trauma, then his work was done. And his work was not to explain anything to anybody. He never considered that to be his role. Mm. And that was also why he wasn't loved by everybody. He had a huge group of fans. I mean, look, he was an amazing human being, and you'd be lucky to be in his presence. But he had also enemies. Oh, yes, a lot. Like there were people who were not happy. They wanted something like, of course, the ones with a bigger ego. They haven't been served, and they were not happy. And the ex-colleagues, the psychotherapists, they were often not happy with what he has done because he kind of left the constraints and rules of the psychotherapy to do family constellation, and some things are really oppose what psychotherapists would do. And this is also why Bert Hellinger never wanted family constellation to be called a therapy. He wanted to make sure that that is not a therapy. It's releasing intergenerational trauma. It's a therapy is for the individual, and this work is not for the individual. It's for the system.
And the soul, I guess, of the family system. Yeah. Fascinating. And so, in wrapping up Bert's life and your experience of Bert, is there anything else that you would share? Any quotes or any other memorable thoughts?
There are many in one way, and on the other, it wouldn't do him justice to, to reduce it, his really his his vast gifts he gave to humanity in general. Um, I wouldn't want to nail. I'd probably share a very personal experience with him to round that up, which I have never shared before, but it comes to mind and it is quite funny. And um, so I was hosting Bert and Sophie Hellinger in my house for a weekend. We had something to do together, and I was cooking, and we had a lovely time. We had invited other guests, and as always, Bert was sitting enjoying the food, smiling, and everybody was raving about how good the food was. And then he said, "Well, it was just made with love." That was him, right? And and then when this was time for them to leave, I offered them a lift to the train station. And at that time, it happened to be that I had only a old um, a Porsche 911, the small Carrera one, at hand. And so I wanted to drive them, the two of them, and the little dog, Sophie's little Yorkshire Terrier, was always traveling with them. So I offered them a ride, a short ride to the train station. And and then Sophie said to me, "Oh, I don't think that we can sit Bert into this little car." And Bert says, "Oh, how exciting! I get a ride in a racing car." So that was him. He was always excited about everything. He was never worried about anything. And sure enough, we managed to put him in the passenger seat. And he jolly enjoyed this very short ride. So yeah, that was him. Always loved what life was offering him. Always taking it as a gift. And yeah, and just an absolute wonderful, wise, humble, and loving human being who has done so much and left so much legacy that we can still um, what can I say, be nourished
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
Mm. And I'd say that a lot of people around the world that have experienced family constellations, I don't know, myself, so thankful for the work that he has done
Yes.
and
Yes.
the work that his students, such as you, have continued on, his
Yes. And
legacy too.
that is actually the gratitude, the deep gratitude I have for him is also why I'm a dedicated teacher of his method in the Family Constellation virtual online trainings, because I'm very passionate about letting his method as pure and as clean as possible, passing that on and not let it divert and go off in different directions as it happens so often when the founder passes away, that kind of
Mm.
the beautiful work takes its own kind of ways, which is fine, but it's not what I want to do. I really want to convey to my students as much as I can the way he worked, and I learned it from him, and I work, and I hope that they do the same.
Wonderful. And Maya, where can people find this training and how can they find you? You do one-on-one sessions as well as the training and workshops.
Yes,
So,
everything is on our website, Family Constellation Virtual. Everybody finds something there, I'm sure, who is listening to this podcast and our conversation about Bert. If you are interested, we have lots of information on our website. We have blog posts to all kinds of topics. We have a YouTube channel, a small YouTube channel with a few videos, and and all the information on the website, of course, familyconstellationvirtual.com.
wonderful. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you, Julie.
And thank you to Bert.
Yes, thank you, Bert.
Thank you for listening. If you want to bring more happiness and freedom to your life and the life of your loved ones, please visit us at familyconstellationvirtual.com and sign up for a workshop, a training, or a one-on-one session. And check out our YouTube channel. If you sign up for our newsletter to stay tuned, you will also receive for free our guided meditation, The Gift, to help you connect with your ancestors.